Looking back now, John, I'm curious how you describe it in your head about the process, and maybe there was some paths you took, or if you were to describe it in a sentence about that particular injust and the process and getting back in. What do you feel now?
I wouldn't change the process because we were always reactive to what had occurred to us. So we can't make decisions as to being, as in to continue to be members of an association that has effectively tried to um, rid us of its membership. So us being reactive, I wouldn't change anything about the process that we'd done. Now, I attempted to be collaborative with the association. There was always a way around it. There was always a process that we could have followed that we could have come to agreement on, but we couldn't. And so, unfortunately, it's effectively the it's the pursuing litigation is the nuclear option, unfortunately. And so when you're backed into a corner, there are a couple of things that I think back. We were put before a general meeting before all the clubs to effectively plead our case. I spoke at that committee meeting where all representatives, or most representatives of the better part of, I think it was 40 clubs back then, came to sit down to effectively pass a resolution as to whether we should be scrapped from the association. And I spoke then, and I think back to that, I spoke broadly to the clubs and said, "This is the wrong decision. Don't agree with the association on this." Uh, uh, I mean, I'm an advocate, and maybe I didn't do my job well enough, but I didn't get the support that I thought I would get. I thought I'd be listening. I thought that there'd be people listening to me to hear what we had to say, and maybe that was an approach that I could have done differently in the way that I spoke. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I could have done differently, because when you think back, well, what could I have said and done? But again, the perception was that the association's done this correctly, so why are you fighting it? Whereas my position in defence was, no, they haven't. They haven't, because it could happen to you too, and you would want this. You would want what I'm doing. You would want to do the same thing if in the event that it happened to you. And that's what I tried to put forward as well, saying, no, they haven't done it properly. They haven't done it correctly. They haven't been collaborative. They haven't been open, because the association had adopted a fixed position, and the fixed position was wrong. And I wanted to make sure that the rest of the clubs knew that, and that we weren't some rogue club that was engaged in violence, which I abhor, which the club abhors. We have a zero tolerance policy, and it fell on deaf ears, and unfortunately, the nuclear option was exercised by going to court.
What's done is done, and obviously history is captured by video and things like that now, and news
Yeah,
articles and whatnot on the internet, and people might search your cricket club and come up with that. And when a new member or a junior player or a junior parent sort of goes, "Oh, what happened that day?" How do you describe that now to them?
well, we approach this front and square. We don't hide away from the fact that we're involved in a violent act, effectively 3.5 years ago now. But the way we deal with it is that we follow the rules, we follow the law, we follow a process, and our primary objective is safety and protection of our members, and that's kids, that's 53-year-old hack wicket keepers, that's 80-year-old members. That's our job as a sporting association, as a club, is the safety and enjoyment of the club for our members. And so, over the course of the last 3 years, we're incredibly fortunate, but also have been well managed enough to have obtained multiple junior players. We've had a junior club. Our junior program is thriving. Parents that have come to our club over the course of the last couple of years love the environment. It's because it's an inclusive, happy, friendly environment where we don't take ourselves particularly seriously, socially in particular. Obviously, on the cricket field, it's a bit different. We do like to win, but at the end of the day, it's not a win at all cost situation. It's club cricket, and so we actually love having. We encourage parents to stick around. We love having the kids there, and in fact, the kids. Half a dozen of the kids are usually the last ones to leave at training on a Thursday night, which tells you a lot about our environment. It's so incredibly inclusive, but we make sure of that by having a zero tolerance environment for violence, for aggression. That's just not on, and we are in fact incredibly fortunate that we have a few committee members that work in education. Work with the underprivileged, work within diverse cultural backgrounds. In fact, our one of our women coordinators, she's in fact a counsellor at a special school, which gives a great insight into how to work with those who don't have all the privileges. I mean, we've fostered an environment now that is it's an exceptional environment for young people, in particular for young people, but even for potential other hacks who want to take over my wicket-keeping gig in the seconds and thirds.
I don't think Alex Carey would be too happy about us knocking on his door. However, John, you did touch on zero tolerance, and I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm a parent, and I've got 3 kids playing sport. It's not just about the kids, and there's also parents, there's sponsors, there's committee holders, there's stakeholders within the club. I'm curious how you get that message across to everyone and to say, look, this is, and also reporting of that as well in and around, like it's dobbing or whatever you want to call it, of behaviour that should not be accepted at a cricket club.
Oh, look, we're human beings, and unfortunately, we can only really be reactive to certain situations as they manifest. Now, I would assume any club worth its salt has a zero tolerance policy for violence, aggression, for discrimination, for not meeting with club objectives. I would think, and we're one of those clubs. And to the extent that you've got it's almost as though trying to be proactive about having a situation not manifest, such as no excessive drinking, responsible service of alcohol, ensuring that the kids have their own place, have their own space, ensuring that women have their own place free of discrimination, free of harassment, and making sure that we have a process of complaint where even if it's a minor complaint, even if it's one of, look, I was walking through the toilets and I think Joe Bloggs is a little bit drunk, pushed past me. I just saw it now. I'm not sure. Well, dealing with that immediately and going to find Joe Bloggs and say, I think you've had enough, mate. We'll get you into an Uber, get you home. All of those things are proactive measures that clubs take, that we take, and we take seriously. I mean, we had a wake for one of our dear departed life members 7-8 months ago. This was at the club rooms. It was attended by, varying reports, 400 people. This is how popular this Tommy Trantino was. He passed away, and we're talking when you consider that you've got 300-400 people. By some reports, it might have been up to 500, but let's say 300 to 400 people together at a wake, celebrating the life of a now departed life member, having a few drinks, having something to eat, and at some stage there were some emotions that got the better of some. That was dealt with immediately. It was okay. Come over here. We're here with family. We're here with a wake. Let's get you home. It was immediate. It was like, right, this is not going to escalate. And that's how clubs work. I mean, in an environment where there's 40 or 50 people at a training night, that's easy. But you think 300 or 400 where there could be an escalation, and we dealt with that. We dealt with it superbly because we've got experienced people. We've got, one of our long-standing committee members and life members is a senior crowd security specialist. I mean, I'm not saying we've got a bouncer in our midst, but we're talking about a crowd controller who, and in fact, he was doing an amazing job during the scuffle 3 years ago to pull people apart. I mean, this is the environment that we've got. We've got people who are incredibly committed to ensuring the safety of our members, and that's what we're about. We're at the end of the day, we're a social club. You want to be there. You're not there under sufferance. You're there because you want to be there, and because you want to be there, you want the experience to be happy.
And connection is such an important part of being a social club that plays cricket or a cricket club that's social. Either way, it's a connection point.
Incredibly so.
And it's very strong for mental health purposes.